Hi there, this is Craig Beck from StopDrinkingExpert.com. Welcome in. Part 5 of the Stop Drinking Expert Complete Quit Drinking program. And today, we're going to focus on some obstacles and opportunities for you. Now, the reason why I go through this course in a certain order, if you come to a seminar, it will run exactly the same. And if you've joined the online program and you're watching this via the members area, you might be wondering why the material is time delayed, why it's kind of drip fed to you. Even if you've got a lifetime membership, why isn't it just all available immediately? Now, the answer to that is there is actually a very precise order in which I'm giving you this information. It's not just a random collection of my thoughts. There is a little bit of science behind it, and there's a name for the order in which I go through this process with you. It's called the AGOWAL process. And that stands for awareness, goal setting, opportunities and obstacles, way forward, actions and learning. Now, it's not a linear process. It doesn't mean that when I finish with awareness, I'll never return to it. There are little bits of awareness of the problem dotted throughout. But generally, we've kind of done the awareness and we've done the goal setting. And today we're on to O, which is obstacles and opportunities. And what I want to talk to you about are the things that could get in the way of this great plan of yours, the obstacles that could prevent you from living a happy, sober life. Because we have to know our enemy. You know, we can use all the positive thinking we want, but unless we're aware of how the enemy is going to attack, then we're not going to be able to be prepared to deal with it. And so that's why we'll look at the obstacles you're going to deal with, but we're also going to look at the opportunities as well, because I think it's important to focus on what good things are coming to you. So let's do the obstacles first. Now, in a seminar, this would be an interactive process and I would be asking you to give me obstacles. But because you can't interact with the video, I'm just going to give you the most common suggestions that I get from people when I do this seminar live. What things can get in the way of you staying sober? Insomnia. A lot of people say, I can't get to sleep at night. Now, I'm not going to address each one of these individually because most of these are dealt with in the section coming up called the psychology of addiction. So don't worry, I'm coming to them, but I'm just not going to go into detail on each one. Low mood, you know, if you're in a bad mood, if you've had a bad day, could it be tempting to turn to alcohol as a go-to? Social occasions. How do you go to social events where everyone else is drinking and you're not drinking? How do you deal with that? Peer pressure. Suddenly, you know, your friends who are used to seeing you with a bottle in your hand, you don't drink anymore. We'll talk a lot more about that later because they will try very, very hard to get you to drink. And I'll explain why they're doing that a little bit later on. But a friend of mine, who actually wrote the German version of my book, Alkohol hat mit belogen. His name is Robert Bukal. He stopped drinking with my help after 30 years of heavy drinking. And he turned 50 1 year after he'd quit drinking. And he had a huge party. And he told me that every single person who came to his party brought him alcohol as a gift. He had literally hundreds of bottles of booze in his house the day after his birthday party where he didn't drink a drop. He had such a reputation. So there is peer pressure. We'll talk about that. Stress, that's the big one. Vacations. How do you go on vacation without alcohol? It's easy, tell you later. And free alcohol. I have this a lot. I fly business, because I travel a lot, so I fly business quite a lot. And literally on a 10-hour flight, I'm offered free alcohol at least a dozen times. And a dozen times I have to say, no thanks. And I order an alternative. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a bit of the Britishness in me that thinks, hang on a minute, I'm paying the same price as that guy over there who's just drank $100 worth of champagne. I feel like I'm getting poor value. So there are some things you have to kind of change in your thinking around this. And like I said, we'll come on to that. And grief, of course, is a big one. We had a really bad year. The Beck family had a very, very bad year last year, and probably the worst ever. We lost someone very close to us. And in those times when you're in such pain and suffering so much, there is a temptation to try and make it go away. And again, your panacea. is alcohol. But that definitely comes under the psychology of addiction, and I promise we'll come to that. So that's the bad stuff. That's the stuff that's going to try and trip you up. What about the good stuff? What have you got to look forward to? More energy. Loads more energy. Better mood. You'll have less mood swings. You'll be less grumpy, less tired, more clarity, more focus in your thinking and in your actions. More money, significantly more money. Not just the money you save on booze, which is probably between $3,000 and $6,000 a year, but also because you're more committed at work, because you've got more energy and you're achieving more, you find that you earn more money. Just you have more capacity to earn. Your relationships get infinitely better. You get better sex. And for a lot of people, you get sex back. Because when drinking really takes hold, as much as you want it, sometimes, especially for guys, it's just not possible. You get sex back. I mean, how much would you pay for that? Also, improved health is a given. Career success. And here's the big one I want to talk about today, weight loss. And the reason I want to talk about it is because there's a little bit of confusion about weight loss. Because there is this kind of image of the alcoholic being skinny and, malnourished and not eating any food at all, just living continuously off alcohol. And I've seen sitcoms where skinny model type characters say they're on a diet, they're only drinking vodka. And so there is this kind of confusion about, does alcohol make you thin or does it make you fat? What's going on with this? So I just want to talk about that a little bit more. And I think really the evidence is clear to see from my history. Are you ready for this? Okay, this is me, age 17. 17 years old in my first job at a radio station. And let's skip forward 10 years. 10 years of drinking. You see the big fat guy in the yellow shirt? Yeah, that's me. I think it's ironic that my friend Brian there is pointing at my belly. And oh, go on. Do you want to see the worst one? Do you want to see hardcore? Whoa! What happened? What happened to that guy on the left? So, does alcohol cause weight gain? Yeah, you bet you it does. But how? Why? And the answer is that alcohol is a fuel. Now, alcohol says it is many things. And there are not many genuine uses for alcohol in reality. But two of them are as a disinfectant. It's very good at killing life. And two is as a fuel. You can tell it's a fuel because if you light it, it burns. It has energy within it. So when you drink alcohol, it's not processed in the same way as when you eat food because it's not food. It has zero nutritional value. There are no minerals or vitamins in alcohol. It can't be stored. It has to be dealt with by your body. It can't just leave it there because it's a poison. Alcohol is a poison. So when you drink it, your body just doesn't want to store it. Why would it want to store poison? When you drink it, your body goes into emergency mode. You've just ingested poison. It has to do something about this. So alcohol causes weight gain because it's processed differently to food, and it interferes with various parts of your body, including the metabolism and the oxidization of fat and food that you've ingested as well. But I'm not the only one who lost weight when they quit drinking. In fact, the before and after pictures of people who quit drinking are quite stunningly dramatic. Take a look at this.
When it's all too clear, no inhibition, no fear. Say you'll remember me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, babe. Red lips and rosy cheeks. Say you'll see me again, even if it's just I just wanna look good, I just wanna look good, this is my fight.
tried to write me off. Remember when you thought I'd take a loss? Don't you remember? You thought that I would need you. Follow procedure. Remember? Oh wait, you got amnesia. It was my season for battle wounds, battle scars, body bump, bruise, stabbed in the back, brimstone fire jumping through. Still all my life I got money and power, and you gotta live with the bad blood now.
Midnight, some people want me. Come and pick me up, no headlight. I say no way, try again another day. Long drive, I should be happy. And in burning flames or paradise. I just won't play, letting my life get away. You see me in the spotlight, ooh, all over your town. Show me what you got, cause I don't wanna waste my time. You see me in the spotlight, ooh, all over your town.
Yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say I'm sorry now? We started another life better.
I'm so sick of that love. I'm so sick of that same old love.
We started you still
Wow, pretty amazing, huh? I mean, you should be excited because look at that dramatic difference. And I'll tell you now, I'm 43 years old. I have more energy now than I did when I was 25. And there is no debate about this. Alcohol makes you fat and unhealthy. And if you're currently overweight and you're trying to diet and still drinking, you're wasting your time. And I'll tell you why. Let's have a look at this because it's not, you see here people talking about the calories in wine. And that's a bit of an illusion, if you ask me. That's a bit of a deception because it would be very easy to point at, a pint of lager or a glass of wine and say, well, that's got this many calories in, so it's the same as eating this. It's not. It's not food, and it's not processed by the body in the same way as food. So this is the order in which your body processes alcohol. So you take a drink. The first thing your body does is go, whoa, you've just drank poison. Okay, better deal with this. So the first thing it does is the liver starts processing the ethanol, which is poison, and turns it into something safer that doesn't kill you, acetylide, okay? So your life has just been saved because if the ethanol had stayed there, you'd be dead because you drank poison. But your body's smart, it's intelligent, it wants to save your life, and it converts it into something else. Now, there's a bit of a problem with what it converts it to, but we'll come on to that in a minute. Next, this is the devious part of the drug. The alcohol interferes with your brain, and it switches off the part of your brain that deals with the poison response. Because you're drinking poison, some things should be happening. You should be starting to feel very, very ill because you're drinking poison, yeah? You should be wanting to vomit. It's the body's automatic response to having ingested a poison. It wants to make you vomit. But you don't, do you? Actually, the opposite happens. You start to feel good. You start to feel euphoric. And you drink more. And you feel better. But then the morning after, you feel like death. And maybe you throw up. And maybe you want to throw up and everything's just horrible and your head hurts. That's how you should be feeling while you're drinking. But the drug turns off your ability to feel that. How evil is that? How devious is that? The drug turns off the self-protection mechanism in your brain that would be warning you to stop doing what you're doing. You still think this is a harmless social pleasantry? This is a drug that kills over 2.5 million people a year because it's very, very good at what it does.